For more than 100 years, the entertainment industry has been a dazzling yet confining realm. On the surface, we see the glamour, the fame, and the multi-million-dollar deals that dazzle the public eye. But if you peer behind the velvet curtain, you'll find that most celebrated figures are in reality highly paid employees, rather than independent owners. They don't possess the very foundation beneath their feet. Yet across different eras, three extraordinary women, Mary Pickford, Oprah Winfrey, and Taylor Swift, each armed with a shared power DNA, refused to accept this status quo. Instead of merely being exploited for their talent, they chose to claim ownership, selling not just their art, but an empowering ideology of independence and control. Reflecting personally, I often wonder, if these women had not boldly taken their stand, would we still accept the narrative that artists are mere puppets manipulated by large studios and corporations? Their bravery opened my eyes to a vital truth. While fame is fleeting, ownership endures eternally. This realization forms the core of their revolutionary impact on the entertainment world. Chapter I. The Mastery of Ownership. The Battle for the Original. At the heart of this entire saga lies the concept of the master. Be it a silver halide film negative from the early 20th century or a high-resolution digital recording from today. The master is the fundamental source code, the essence and soul of any creative work. Without owning the master, an artist cannot truly claim their history or the fruits of their labor. Ownership of this original piece is the difference between being a creator or merely a contributor. Mary Pickford, dubbed America's Sweetheart, emerged as a revolutionary figure in 1919. During the early days of Hollywood, actors were treated like factory parts, replaceable and disposable under the studio system's feudal hierarchy, where studio heads held all the power. Despite her immense fame, Mary realized that the studios controlled her image because they owned the film negatives, the physical originals from which every copy was made. This meant her legacy was at their mercy. If they chose to shelve her films, she would effectively disappear from history. In response, Mary made a daring move. She co-founded United Artists, an unprecedented step to gain control over her negatives. Her motivation was not to earn more money, but to secure ownership of her own work. She understood that owning the negative meant controlling how the film was edited, distributed, and preserved. This was a radical departure from the norm, and met with scorn. Many called her crazy, accusing her of taking over the asylum. But Mary was not insane. She was the only sane voice in the room. She grasped that without owning the master, she was nothing more than a highly paid guest in her own career. Looking at Mary in old photographs, I don't see a helpless woman, but a strategic predator of the boardroom. In 1919, when women still lacked the right to vote in many places, she outmaneuvered the most powerful men in America. She wasn't seeking their permission. She demanded their keys to the kingdom. This mindset laid the groundwork for the future of artist ownership. Fast forward a century to 2019, and Taylor Swift faced a parallel battle in a digital landscape. Although technology had evolved from physical film to digital recordings, the exploitative nature of the industry remained unchanged. Taylor discovered that her master recordings, her 6 albums that chronicled her youth, had been sold to a man she viewed as a bully. For many artists, this kind of betrayal would be a career-ending blow. In music, the master recording is the ultimate asset. Whoever owns it receives royalties whenever the song is played, streamed, or licensed. Without it, artists effectively rent their own creations. Taylor adopted the Pickford strategy for the modern age, re-recording her albums to reclaim ownership. This was a form of economic guerrilla warfare. By releasing Taylor's version, she rendered the original masters, which she did not own, obsolete. She told her fans plainly, "This version is mine, the other version belongs to them." Taylor's power was amplified by her role as a songwriter. Because she wrote her own songs, she retained the legal right to re-record them, turning her creative talent into an impenetrable shield. Without this, she would have been powerless. The image of Taylor sitting in a studio in 2021, revisiting the songs she wrote as a teenager, is deeply poetic. It symbolizes the ongoing struggle for ownership that shifts its form across generations, from Mary's tangible film negatives to Taylor's digital masters. The reason these two women, separated by a century, fixate on the master is that it represents the confluence of legacy and liquidity. Without the master, artists receive only a fraction of the financial rewards. With it, they claim the lion's share. Ownership is what transforms a star into a mogul, capable of building a lasting dynasty. Moreover, owning the master safeguards an artist's legacy. Without it, others can distort or exploit their work, attaching it to causes or products the artist opposes. By holding on to the master, Mary and Taylor ensured that their work would be preserved exactly as intended, a century and beyond. The blueprint of true power begins with owning the foundational asset. You cannot erect a skyscraper without owning the land beneath it. Mary Pickford bought that land in 1919, and Taylor Swift reclaimed it in 2019. All subsequent success, billions in earnings, sold-out tours, political influence, rests on this critical foundation. A harsh lesson for today's creators emerges. Passion and content creation are not enough. You must be the landlord of your own soul. Without owning your master, no amount of fame can shield you from being controlled by others. Chapter 2. From the Stage to the Studio. The Industrial Rebellion. If the first chapter is about owning the master, the second chapter is about owning the medium itself. Owning a film or recording is one thing. Owning the studio, distribution channels, and production tools is another. This marks the transformation from a talented artist to an industrial titan. It's the moment when a woman refuses to ask for a seat at the table and decides instead to build her own building, inviting the world on her terms. In the 1920s, Hollywood was an aggressive boys' club, where female stars were often seen as mere dolls to be dressed up and displayed. Mary Pickford, while embodying the idealized America's sweetheart, was secretly a shrewd industrialist. She was the first to combine creative vision with executive power, becoming an auteur CEO long before the term existed. While other stars waited passively, Mary was actively involved in every stage of production, from editing to financial oversight. Mary handpicked directors, scouted filming locations, and supervised costume design. She only greenlit projects she deemed worthy of the Pickford brand. By co-founding United Artists, she created a direct bypass around the dominant studios, proving that a strong personal brand could eliminate the need for a traditional boss and transform the artist into a self-sufficient distribution hub. A popular anecdote tells of Mary walking into a room full of male executives as the only person who knew the cost per foot of film stock. This image of a seemingly delicate woman silencing powerful men with financial expertise is striking. She concealed her intelligence behind charm until the moment was right to wield it as a weapon. True power, as Mary demonstrated, does not always need to shout. It needs to be precise and undeniable. 60 years later, Oprah Winfrey confronted a similar crossroads. In the 1980s, she was rising in Chicago television, but remained an employee. Her show belonged to a syndication company. She was the on-screen face, but the network held control and profits. In 1986, Oprah made a historic decision. She founded Harpo Productions. Her goal extended beyond a bigger paycheck. She wanted ownership of the production company itself. Owning her production company meant Oprah controlled the content, free from network interference. She could address any topic, spirituality, abuse, literature, because she owned the medium. Oprah expanded further, building a sprawling studio complex, launching a magazine, and eventually creating her own cable network, OWN. She understood that content is queen, But distribution is the kingdom. Owning the channel meant owning the law. What unites Mary's 1920s studio and Oprah's 2000s empire is a firm rejection of the employee mindset. Both practiced vertical integration, controlling every phase from idea to delivery, which guaranteed consistent quality aligned with their brands. Both wielded the sovereignty to say no to unfavorable deals because they owned the infrastructure. Mary walked away from major studios to create her own path. Oprah left traditional networks to build her empire. Both defied industries that expected women to stay in their place. They shattered the glass ceiling, not by seeking promotion within existing structures, but by constructing their own roofs. This evolution from artist to mogul is critical. Fame is bait, but infrastructure is the real prize. Oprah's network is in many ways the 21st century incarnation of Mary Pickford's United Artists, a shared spirit manifested across time. This model of artist as tycoon directly leads to billionaire status. Salaries alone don't create billionaires. Equity and ownership do. Mary Pickford became the richest woman in the world, not by acting alone, but through studio ownership and savvy investments. Oprah, the first black female billionaire, amassed wealth by owning 100% of her show and brand, keeping every dollar within her own control. The brutal lesson from this chapter is clear. Work for the machine, and you are a part of it. Own the machine, and you become the master of your destiny. I often reflect on the advice, do what you love. But Mary and Oprah's stories teach a deeper truth. Love your work, yes, but above all, own it. Loving your craft makes you an artist. Owning your craft makes you a legend. Their empires are not just collections of creative output. They are masterpieces of business acumen and vision. Chapter 3. Beyond Fame. The Audience as an Army. In the cold calculations of business, audiences are often reduced to demographics or consumer bases. But for Mary Pickford, Oprah Winfrey, and Taylor Swift, the audience is a sacred and powerful force, a community of allies rather than mere fans. They have cultivated a cult of intimacy that acts as a diplomatic shield, an economic engine, and a political force. This is the art of making millions of strangers feel like your closest confidants. Mary Pickford pioneered this approach as the original sweetheart. Her global appeal was not achieved by being a distant star, but through strategic vulnerability. By portraying characters who were often young, poor, or vulnerable, she evoked a protective instinct in her audience. People didn't just admire her, they felt compelled to defend her. She became a mirror, reflecting the struggles of the masses, especially in an era of immigration and industrial upheaval. This strategy of appearing approachable and vulnerable was a brilliant business tactic. While Mary was a ruthless CEO behind the scenes, on screen she was the beloved little sister to millions. When studios tried to suppress her, public outcry was so fierce that executives had to back down. She demonstrated that love is the ultimate bargaining chip in the boardroom. Oprah took this intimacy to a monumental level. She transformed the talk show format into a sanctuary of empathy by breaking the fourth wall and sharing her own life struggles. Her openness was not oversharing, but an invitation for viewers to join her in vulnerability. This connection birthed the Oprah effect. When she recommended a book or cause, it became a national phenomenon. Oprah's audience didn't just watch her, they trusted and believed her. She created an emotional real estate in the hearts of millions that was more stable than any stock market investment. By owning her network, she owned not just content, but the very soul of the audience. Taylor Swift has refined this cult of intimacy for the digital era by blending Mary's sweetness with Oprah's empathy and adding a gamified layer. Through Easter eggs, hidden messages in lyrics, and exclusive secret sessions, she makes fans feel like insiders, part of a secret community. Her fans have grown alongside her, sharing in her heartbreaks and triumphs. When Taylor fought to re-record her masters, she wasn't alone. Millions of Swifties understood the stakes and joined her rebellion, not just as consumers, but as active participants. This dynamic reveals that the most powerful artists create relationships, not just products, turning audiences into armies that defend them fiercely. The bond of intimacy is a potent weapon against cancellation and corporate attacks. When companies try to silence an artist, they end up battling a movement of devoted fans. Unlike replaceable products, relationships built on trust and empathy are irreplaceable. By maintaining direct communication with their audiences, Mary, Oprah, and Taylor ensure their narratives remain under their control, bypassing traditional media filters. This warm, human power defies the cold, impersonal image of influence as contracts and steel. The greatest master an artist can possess is mastery over the heart. If you can make 1 million people feel truly seen, you gain an unassailable shield against loneliness and defeat. The final act, When the Monuments Speak. Our journey began with a girl of golden curls in the dusty, silent era of Hollywood, traveled through Mississippi's challenging valleys, and concluded on a Pennsylvania Christmas tree farm. 3 women, 3 different times, but one indomitable spirit. Mary Pickford, Oprah Winfrey, and Taylor Swift did more than build careers. They reshaped the very architecture of freedom in entertainment. What separated them from countless other talented icons? Not luck or genetics, but a terrifying clarity amidst the intoxication of fame. They knew applause fades and lights dim, but ownership is eternal. They refused to be slaves to the spotlight, choosing instead to be owners of the light itself. Mary Pickford planted the seed of sovereignty. She taught us never to let fame outpace power, sacrificing her innocent public image to become a ruthless CEO. Oprah Winfrey raised this blueprint into a skyscraper of empathy, owning every frame and broadcast second to ensure her voice could never be silenced. Taylor Swift is the guardian of the digital legacy, rewriting stolen history louder, clearer, and fully her own. From their legacies emerge 5 golden rules. Prioritize sovereignty by owning your master. Weaponize vulnerability to connect deeply. Embrace the infrastructure mindset by building the machinery behind your art. Treat your audience as strategic allies who will protect you. And always evolve, ready to burn old images to rise stronger. These lessons form a map to true freedom. As this story concludes, I feel a surge of energy and inspiration. Mary, Oprah, and Taylor have left us more than films, shows, or songs. They've handed us a blueprint for ownership and independence. It does not matter where you begin. What matters is the courage to own your story. Ultimately, your story is the only thing you truly possess in this world.